A parched, cracked earth. The sun, a relentless god, bakes the land. Dust devils dance in the heat, mocking the cries for rain. Ancient Israel, a land promised to flow with milk and honey, thirsts. Whispers travel on the wind, tales of a prophet. A man of God, cloaked in rough wool, his eyes burning with righteous fire. His name, Elijah, a harbinger of change. A storm brewing in human form. The whispers reach the palace in Samaria. King Ahab, a ruler seduced by idolatry, feels a tremor of unease. His queen, the ruthless Jezebel, scoffs. Their opulent world, built on the backs of the suffering, seems unshakable. The tension builds, a silence heavy with anticipation. The whispers grow louder, a storm gathering force. Soon the land of Israel will tremble before the might of Elijah, the prophet of Yahweh. Elijah stands on a rocky crag, his silhouette stark against the unforgiving sun. His gaze, intense and unwavering, pierces the shimmering heat haze. He has walked for days, led by the voice of God. He is a force of nature, as harsh and unyielding as the desert itself. His arrival is unexpected. He strides into the heart of Samaria, a whirlwind of dust and prophecy. His voice, like thunder echoing through the valleys, rings out. Ahab, surrounded by his opulent court, stares in disbelief. Fear flickers in his eyes. Thus says the Lord Yahweh, the God of Israel. Elijah booms, his voice resonating through the courtyard. There will be neither dew nor rain in the next few years except at my word. His words hang in the air, a chilling decree. The court erupts, murmurs turn to shouts, then to panicked cries. Ahab, his face pale, stammers denials. Jezebel, her eyes blazing with fury, orders Elijah seized, but the prophet is gone, vanished as quickly as he appeared, leaving behind the weight of his prophecy. Days turn into weeks, weeks into months. The sun beats down relentlessly. Rivers dwindle to trickles, then vanish altogether. Crops wither and die. The once fertile land groans under the grip of a devastating drought. Panic grips the kingdom. People cry out for rain, their pleas echoing unanswered. Ahab, desperate to appease his gods, offers sacrifices, but the heavens remain closed. His grip on power weakens with every parched day. Jezebel, her beauty hardened by cruelty, blames Elijah for the drought. She unleashes her wrath on the prophets of Yahweh, hunting them down with ruthless efficiency. Her fear, masked by rage, drives her to unspeakable acts. The land withers, its lifeblood draining away. But somewhere in a secret place, Elijah waits. Sustained by the word of God, he is preparing for a confrontation that will shake the very foundations of Israel. A confrontation that will pit the power of Yahweh against the forces of Baal. The sun beats down on Elijah. His throat is parched, his lips cracked and dry. Days of relentless travel, his only guide, the whisper of God's voice. He stumbles, his legs heavy, his vision blurring. He collapses, his body a testament to the brutal grip of the drought. He wakes to the sound of crackling twigs. A young boy, his eyes wide with curiosity, watches him. Behind him, a woman, her face etched with hardship yet radiating kindness, approaches cautiously. This is the widow of Zarephath, a woman clinging to survival on the fringes of a dying land. "Please," Elijah whispers, his voice hoarse, "a drink of water." The woman hesitates, her eyes reflecting the scarcity that surrounds them. "I have only a handful of flour, barely enough for my son and me," she says, her voice tight with desperation. "To give to you would be to invite death into our home." Elijah, his voice gaining strength, fixes his gaze on her. "The Lord will provide," he states, his voice resonating with unwavering faith. "The jar of flour will not be used up, and the jug of oil will not run dry until the day the Lord sends rain upon the land." His words hang in the air, a promise, a challenge, a lifeline in the face of despair. The widow, torn between fear and a flicker of hope, faces a heart-wrenching decision. Her son, his small hand clutching hers, looks up at her with pleading eyes. The drought has taken so much already. How can she risk the little they have left? Yet there is something in Elijah's gaze, a quiet authority that stirs her soul. She leads him inside. Her home, a single room, is sparse but impeccably clean. The last of the flour sits in a clay pot, a meager offering to a hungry God. The oil, a precious commodity, rests in a small flask nearby. Every fibre of her being screams at her to conserve, to protect what little she has left. With trembling hands, she takes a wooden bowl and scoops out a portion of the flour. Her son, his eyes never leaving his mother's face, senses the weight of the moment. He is too young to understand the sacrifice, but old enough to feel the fear that claws at their hearts. As she kneads the dough, tears stream down her cheeks. Her son, unable to bear her silent grief, throws his arms around her. "It's all right, Mama," he whispers, his small voice filled with an innocence that belies the gravity of their situation. "God will take care of us." His words, spoken with unwavering faith, echo in the small room, a testament to the enduring power of belief. Days turn into weeks. The drought tightens its grip on the land. People starve, their cries for mercy swallowed by the relentless sun. Yet, within the widow's humble home, a miracle unfolds. The jar of flour, defying all logic, remains full. The oil, a symbol of life in a dying land, continues to flow. Elijah, a silent observer, witnesses the unwavering faith of the widow and her son. He shares their meager meals, his heart filled with gratitude for their generosity. He sees their faith deepen with each passing day, a testament to the power of belief in the face of adversity. One evening, a shadow falls over the doorway. The widow's son, his breathing shallow, his skin burning with fever, lies listlessly on a straw mat. The fear that had haunted the widow's eyes returns, sharper, more profound than before. The drought had taken so much, would it now claim her only child? "Elijah," she cries out, her voice raw with desperation. "Please help me, my son, he is sick, he is dying." The fear in her voice tears at Elijah's heart. He has witnessed the depth of her faith, the unwavering love for her son. He knows he cannot stand by and watch as her world crumbles. He must act, must become a conduit for God's power. Elijah kneels beside the boy, his face etched with concern. He places his hand on the child's burning forehead, feeling the heat radiating from his small body. Closing his eyes, he sends up a fervent prayer, his words a desperate plea for mercy, for healing, for life. "O Lord my God, let this child's life return to him," Elijah cries out, his voice echoing the anguish of the grieving mother. He stretches himself out upon the boy 3 times, his entire being focused on channeling the power of Yahweh. The room falls silent, the only sound the rasping breaths of the child. Suddenly a tremor runs through the boy's body, his breathing slows, becomes deeper, more regular. Colour returns to his cheeks, the fevered flush receding. He opens his eyes, looking around the room with a dazed expression. "Mama," he whispers, his voice weak but clear. The widow, overcome with relief, sinks to her knees, tears streaming down her face. My son, you live!" Elijah, his face filled with awe, rises to his feet. He had been a vessel, a conduit for the Lord's power. He had witnessed a miracle, a testament to the unwavering love and mercy of God. The drought may have ravaged the land, but in this small room hope had triumphed over despair. Faith had conquered fear. The drought tightens its grip. The land, once fertile, now resembles a sun-baked wasteland. Cracks snake across the parched earth. The air hangs heavy with despair. Inside, a small fire flickers. Elijah sits deep in prayer. The Lord speaks in the rustle of ravens' wings. The raven alights on the windowsill. Elijah unrolls the parchment. The time for confrontation is at hand. He commands me to return to Samaria. He is a prophet on a mission. The palace of Samaria, once a beacon of opulence, now reflects the decay of the land. The once vibrant gardens are withered and brown, the fountains dry and cracked. Inside, Ahab paces restlessly, his face a mask of worry and frustration. The drought has shaken his grip on power, his people on the verge of revolt. Jezebel, her beauty now hardened by desperation, watches him with cold disdain. Her faith in Baal remains unshaken, but fear gnaws at the edges of her resolve. She has ordered the deaths of countless prophets, yet the drought persists. A testament to her impotence, a commotion at the palace gates. Guards scramble, their swords drawn, as a lone figure approaches. Elijah, his hair long and unkempt, his beard thick and matted, strides into the courtyard, his eyes blazing with righteous anger. He is a whirlwind of dust and prophecy, a living rebuke to the decadence that surrounds him. "Go, tell Ahab," Elijah commands, his voice echoing across the courtyard, "that Elijah the Tishbite stands at his door. Tell him to gather all Israel on Mount Carmel, and bring with him the 450 prophets of Baal and the 400 prophets of Asherah who eat at Jezebel's table." His words, spoken with the authority of God, send a tremor through the palace walls. The time for reckoning has come. Word of Elijah's challenge spreads like wildfire across the parched land, a spark of hope in the midst of despair. People, their faces gaunt, their bodies weakened by hunger, emerge from their homes, drawn to Mount Carmel by a force they can barely comprehend. Mount Carmel, a silent sentinel overlooking the valley, becomes a stage for a divine showdown. On one side, the opulent tents of Ahab and Jezebel, surrounded by the richly robed prophets of Baal and Asherah. On the other, Elijah stands alone, a solitary figure representing the forgotten God of Israel. Ahab, his face pale, his eyes flickering nervously, watches as Elijah addresses the crowd. He feels the weight of their gaze, the silent accusation in their eyes. The drought has cost him their respect, their loyalty. He knows that the outcome of this day will determine his fate, the fate of his kingdom. Elijah, his voice resonating with the power of his conviction, speaks to the heart of the matter. "How long will you waver between two opinions?" he thunders. "If the Lord is God, follow him, but if Baal is God, follow him." His words hang in the air, a challenge, a plea, a desperate cry for a nation teetering on the brink of destruction. The tension is palpable, a living thing that crackles in the air. The crowd, a sea of faces etched with a mixture of hope and fear, waits with bated breath. The prophets of Baal, their richly coloured robes, a stark contrast to Elijah's simple attire, whisper amongst themselves. Elijah raises his voice, his words cutting through the silence like a sword. "Let 2 bulls be given to us," he declares. "Let the prophets of Baal choose one for themselves and lay it on the wood, but put no fire to it. And I will prepare the other bull and lay it on the wood, but put no fire to it." His words are a challenge, a test of faith. The challenge is accepted. A hush falls over the crowd as the prophets of Baal prepare their sacrifice. They chant and dance, their movements frantic, desperate. Hours pass, the sun beating down mercilessly. Still no fire descends, no answer to their pleas. As the day wears on, their desperation grows. They cry out to Baal, their voices hoarse, their bodies slick with sweat. They cut themselves with knives, a bloody spectacle of religious fervour, but their God remains deaf to their pleas. The crowd, sensing the futility of it all, begins to murmur amongst themselves. Elijah watches the spectacle unfold. He has seen the emptiness of their rituals. Now it is time to reveal the power of the one true God. "Come near to me," he calls out. He approaches the altar he has prepared. He repairs the altar of the Lord. He commands that the sacrifice be drenched with water until the trench surrounding the altar overflows. The tension hangs in the air. The crowd senses something momentous. Even Ahab leans forward in anticipation. "O Lord, let it be known this day that you are God in Israel. Answer me, O Lord, that this people may know you are God." The sky darkens ominously. A bolt of lightning strikes the altar. Flames erupt, consuming the sacrifice. The crowd falls to their knees, awestruck. Smoke rises from the charred remains of the altar. The air crackles with the lingering energy of the divine fire. The crowd, still reeling from the spectacle they have witnessed, erupts in a cacophony of sound. Some weep openly, their faces streaked with tears of repentance. Others raise their voices in praise, acknowledging the awesome power of Yahweh. Ahab, his face ashen, stares at the smouldering altar, a tremor running through his body. He has witnessed the might of the God he has forsaken, felt the terror of divine judgment. Yet fear gives way to a flicker of hope. Perhaps this God, this Yahweh, can deliver them from the grip of the drought. Jezebel, her face contorted with rage, watches the scene unfold, her heart filled with venomous hatred. The miracle, far from instilling fear, has only fueled her fury. She is a queen, a goddess in her own right, and she will not be defied, not by Elijah, not by Yahweh, not by anyone. As darkness falls, a messenger, his face pale with fear, pushes his way through the throng and falls to his knees before Elijah. "My lord," he gasps, his voice trembling, "Jezebel has sworn an oath. She swears by her gods that by this time tomorrow you will be as dead as the prophets of Baal." Fear, cold and sharp, clutches at Elijah's heart. The euphoria of victory, the exhilaration of divine power evaporates like dew in the morning sun. He is a man of God, yes, but he is also flesh and blood, vulnerable to the schemes of a ruthless woman. He flees. Under the cover of darkness, he slips away from the crowd, his heart pounding in his chest. He travels south, putting as much distance as possible between himself and Jezebel's wrath. The journey is arduous, the terrain unforgiving. The wilderness, once a place of solace, now mirrors the turmoil within him. Days bleed into nights. Exhaustion gnaws at him. Thirst parches his throat. The physical challenges are nothing compared to the torment within. Doubt whispers in his ear, questioning his faith, his purpose, his very sanity. Had God abandoned him? Was this flight an act of cowardice, a betrayal of his divine mission? He stumbles on, driven by fear, sustained by a flicker of hope. He reaches Beersheba, a desolate outpost on the edge of the wilderness. There, under a broom tree, he collapses, his body and spirit spent. "It is enough, O Lord," he cries out, his voice hoarse, barely a whisper. "Take my life, for I am no better than my fathers." Despair threatens to consume him, the weight of his mission crushing his spirit. Sleep, heavy and dreamless, claims him. He wakes to the gentle touch of sunlight on his face. Beside him, a small fire crackles merrily, a clay jug of water and a simple meal of bread laid out on a flat stone. He sits up, his eyes scanning the deserted landscape. Who has ventured into this desolate place? Who has ministered to him in his despair? He eats, the simple food restoring his strength. As he drinks deeply from the jug, a voice soft and low whispers his name. He turns, his heart pounding in his chest, but there is no one there, only the wind whistling through the dry branches of the broom tree and the silence, vast and profound, of the wilderness. The voice comes again, urging him to continue his journey. He rises, his body still weary, but his spirit strangely light. He travels for 40 days and 40 nights, sustained by the memory of the voice, the mysterious presence that guides his steps. He is led to Mount Horeb, the mountain of God, a place of ancient power and revelation. He enters a cave seeking shelter from the approaching storm. The wind howls, a furious symphony of nature's power. An earthquake rumbles the very foundations of the mountain. Fire bursts forth from the rocks, a fearsome display of raw energy. Yet in the midst of the chaos, the voice speaks again, not in the fury of the elements, but in a still, small voice, a whisper that stills his soul. "What are you doing here, Elijah?" the voice asks, its tone gentle, yet filled with an authority that brooks no argument. He pours out his heart, his fear, his despair. He has been faithful, has he not? He has risked everything for Yahweh, yet he is hunted like an animal. The Lord listens patiently to Elijah's lament. Then, gently, he rebukes Elijah's despair, reminds him that he is not alone. I will leave 7,000 in Israel, all the knees that have not bowed to Baal, and every mouth that has not kissed him, the voice assures him, its tone firm yet compassionate. He is a God of mercy, but also a God of justice. His plan for Israel, for Elijah, is far from over. Go, return on your way to the wilderness of Damascus, the voice instructs. Anoint Hazael king over Syria, Jehu king over Israel, and Elisha as prophet in your place. Elijah is not to be a solitary warrior. The fight against idolatry, against injustice will continue, led by those chosen by God to carry on his mission. Elijah emerges from the cave, his spirit renewed, his purpose restored. He is no longer bound by fear, no longer defined by his despair. He carries within him the fire of Yahweh, the unwavering certainty that he is an instrument in a divine plan far greater than himself. He descends the mountain, ready to face whatever challenges lie ahead, knowing that he is not alone, that the God of Israel goes before him. Elijah walks through sun-drenched plains, his staff pounding a steady rhythm. Years of trials and triumphs have weathered his face, now serene. He arrives at a bustling harvest field searching for Elisha, the chosen one. Elisha, guiding oxen, senses Elijah's presence and knows his life is about to change. Elijah removes his cloak, a symbol of his calling. He drapes it over Elisha's shoulders, a gesture heavy with symbolic weight. The mantle passes, a divine appointment. Elisha accepts the mantle, his destiny intertwined with Elijah's. Overcome with emotion, Elisha kneels before Elijah. My father, the chariots of Israel and its horsemen," he cries out. He knows the path ahead is fraught with danger, yet there is no hesitation in his voice. He has been chosen, and he will answer the call. Elijah places a hand on Elisha's shoulder, a gesture of reassurance. "If you see me when I am taken from you, it shall be so for you." His words are cryptic, a riddle wrapped in a prophecy. He knows the end is near, his time on earth drawing to a close. The manner of his departure remains shrouded in mystery. They set off together, walking side by side. Their journey takes them across the Jordan River, a symbolic crossing. The air crackles with unspoken words, the weight of their shared destiny. They reach the banks of the Jordan River, its waters churning and swirling. Elijah raises his hand, striking the water with his staff. The river parts, creating a dry path. They walk through, the roar of the Jordan silenced by divine power. A fiery chariot descends, horses of fire drawing it. Elijah steps towards it, his cloak billowing. Elisha cries out, my father, my father." The chariot of fire, with Elijah at its helm, ascends into the whirlwind, a fiery streak against the backdrop of the stormy sky. Elisha watches, his hand shading his eyes, tears streaming down his face as his master, his friend, his guide, is taken up into the heavens. The sound of the whirlwind fades, the light from the chariot diminishes, until there is nothing left but the echoes of thunder and the smell of ozone in the air. He stands there for a long moment, the weight of his loss pressing down on him. Then, bending down, he picks up the mantle that has fallen from the sky, the rough fabric warm to the touch. He clutches it to his chest, his heart filled with a mixture of grief and determination. Elijah may be gone, taken up in a whirlwind of glory, but his mission, his legacy, lives on. The camera pans up, leaving Elisha standing on the banks of the Jordan River, a solitary figure facing an uncertain future. The sky above is clearing, the storm clouds retreating, revealing a sliver of blue, a promise of a new dawn. The legacy of Elijah, the prophet of fire, lives on, a testament to the enduring power of faith, courage, and the unwavering belief in a God who moves in mysterious ways. The silence left by the chariot's departure is deafening. Elisha stands on the riverbank, the rough wool of Elijah's mantle, a tangible reminder of the miracle he has witnessed. The Jordan flows peacefully behind him, its waters no longer parted, but forever changed by the divine fire that crossed them. He looks up, searching the vast expanse of the sky. The storm clouds have vanished, leaving behind a canvas of deep, endless blue. Yet, in his mind's eye, he can still see the fiery chariot, hear the thunderous roar of its ascent. The memory is etched into his very being, a bittersweet ache in his heart. He thinks of the challenges ahead, the battles to be fought against the forces of greed, idolatry and despair. He feels a tremor of fear, a flicker of doubt. Can he possibly fill the void left by Elijah? Can he live up to the legacy of the prophet who commanded fire from heaven and parted the waters of the Jordan? Then, as the last rays of the setting sun paint the sky in hues of orange and purple, a sense of peace settles over him. He is not alone. The God who walked with Elijah, who spoke through the whirlwind and the fire, walks with him now. The mantle is not a burden, but a symbol of divine empowerment, a reminder that the fight for justice, for righteousness, is never fought alone. The camera pans across the landscape, moving away from Elisha. The land, though still bearing the scars of the drought, seems renewed, the air vibrant with a sense of anticipation. The cycle of life continues. Elisha, guided by the Spirit of Yahweh, performs miracles. He heals the sick, multiplies food for the hungry, and raises the dead. His deeds echo Elijah's legacy. The story of Elijah becomes woven into Israel's identity. He is a symbol of courage, of unwavering faith, and the pursuit of justice. His story serves as a beacon of hope, a reminder that the power of God can prevail. The film ends with a shot of the night sky, the stars twinkling like diamonds. The camera focuses on a single star, a silent sentinel in the vastness of space. The image evokes a sense of wonder of the enduring legacy of a man who dared to challenge kings and embrace a destiny beyond the earthly into the fiery embrace of the divine.